Hi everybody, Mature Simmer here. So welcome back to the VFR Around the World Tour with the TBM 850. So if you're new to the series, welcome, but what we're doing here is we are flying a 234 leg world tour that spans over 115,000 nautical miles. We're going to be on leg 14 here, and as you can see by the bar at the top of your screen, we are going from Echo Kilo Charlie Hotel, which is Kastrup near Copenhagen, and we're going to be heading out east and north up the coastline to Bromma, which is Echo Sierra Sierra Bravo. And distance to go is a distance of 282 nautical miles. But we really have 337 nautical miles of flight. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to get things going here. So we'll get all that set. It's been a little bit, I'm trying to get in here. This is a bit of an experiment. Tour Tuner, not Taxi Tuner, Tour Tuner in SayIntentions was having some issues because they were moving it to a new interface on the web. I have since been able to get VFR Flight 14 in here, which is a good thing. And, let's see. Oops. Let's get the starter on. Ignition also on. And we should hopefully be able to get this going here. You can hear the engine spooling up, hopefully. Hopefully that comes across well. Alright, so we're set there. And then get ourselves to high idle. Alright, and that should then get us in a good spot where we can just keep moving along here. So let's see. I want to pop over here. We're going to do fuel select to manual. We're going to do auto BP. Get bleed set to auto. Get the air conditioning on. Fan flow to on. Alright, we're not flying with real weather. We try to keep things clear here so that we can see nicely. We're going to get the radios on. Get that moving. We're going to slide on back over here and get the pitot heater, the stall on. We're at a major airport, so we don't need the separator. We're going to go ahead and we're going to set ourselves to 3,000 feet here. I think we'll be able to be a little bit lower. So we should be able to get the starter to off now. That'll give us more power, as you can see. And then we can get the ignition down there. So again, I'm looking a little bit here on what we need, so we get that. So all of our issues are off. Get this going so everything gets stabilized there. And we want to get the EFIS master on. We also, now that we have the plane running, we want to get all of these going. That's going to get our instruments operating here, so you can see our gyros kind of getting itself set. I'm going to want to go ahead and get a flight plan. Go to menu, import from a file. It should. Yep, that is the right flight plan. So I think I've only messed up one thing. So we can see here, whoops, 10 waypoints on the way. So again, if you're unfamiliar or if you've forgotten, what we do is we fly from waypoint to waypoint, and the creator of this wonderful set of flight plans has given us a Word document with information, but we are also trying to use Tour Tuner in SayIntentions. So that is obviously something we need to look at as well. So let me get, because I don't need a co-pilot, I need a tour guide, and we use Sarah. There are only 4 options that SayIntentions gives you. Nav is there. I'm going to do yaw damper. And then we should be good. We're just going to have a vertical speed. And then we want to do that to do that. We're set there.
While I grab the paperwork.
So.
To Amsterdam via the line 2 Charlie departure runway 22 right, initial climb 5,000 feet, departure 118.455. Squawk 3345, Scandinavian 112.
Swap clearance, good evening, Scandinavian 541, stand Bravo 15.
Right, so we're going to put ourselves there so we don't have the background noise, and we should be good to go. One thing I might need, got ourselves fully fueled. Again, we're not doing a continuation flight, even though the TBM will do that. So part of why we are doing it is we may get introduced with some sort of a problem at some point. Not that I'm looking to do that, but it could happen because this aircraft model does do that type of thing. So we shall see. But at this point, I can take off. Let's see. Let me look at my Navigraph charts here, so I apologize. So we are up here at the airport. We're here at this GA location. We're going to go ahead, and I am actually going to taxi. Let's see, what is the wind doing? Because I did see it was a bit crazy. It's suggesting we go out runway 4 left, which is there. Just fine, although, well, it's saying not used, so let's see. The departure runway is 22 left. Because in theory, it's a pretty windy day here. So, alright, so we need to get up here. So the easiest way to do that is to head out, turn left, cross runway 30, cross runway 22 left, come around, and join, and then take off. So we will do that. It'll be a little bit out of where we want to be, but it should be okay. We want to get the flaps down. The flaps are to takeoff speed. Right, we want to get our trim up a bit, so we'll get our trim wheel set. Get a little more in the green. So this is our distance. This is going to tell you where we're going to the next waypoint, so you can see we're 7.3 miles away. And you can see that from waypoint 1. And so that'll be the view you have, because what I do for a lot of it, if I don't have much to say, I'm just going to kind of leave you out the window that way, because this is a VFR series. And that way you're able to... Okay, so we need to get moving a bit. So it's a big throttle up on this. It's, I forget the technical term. Wish, you know, flight sim wouldn't pop things in that we technically don't need, but I get what they're doing. Okay. So the reason we're moving so quickly is once you kind of engage the movement, it then gets going. So yeah, I kind of move the throttle up again. All right, we're heading up here. Just watching my chart, just so I know where I'm going. All right. A little bit challenging to get out here, but yeah, we want to get out to this location. And then we're going to turn right, which should be the only way we can really go. So you can see the taxi path quite clear on that. But yeah, we're going to use a combination of Tour Tuner and you know, just making sure that everything that they have in the narrative is covered. What I will normally do, we'll take a look at it outside the cockpit. Let me just pop up here real quick. Because, yeah, we really should have our taxi light on. All right, slow down a bit. This is November 1. And this basically goes all over the airport, just like November 2 does. But yeah, the problem is, and the reason I'm used to running most flights with using ATC. The reason I don't is we're VFR, so technically we shouldn't be using ATC. I suppose, you know, I could say, hey, I'm a VFR flight, and then it would just basically get us out of the airport. But most airports that we'll be flying into, I think, are going to be small and untowered. This just happens to be a pretty large airport here at Copenhagen that it's connected us with. All right. So this is the first runway that we're getting to. And we're just going straight across, and then we will kind of veer to the right. So it is a bit, most airports, I would say, relatively straight taxiways in most cases. I mean, yes, obviously there will be turns. This one has some interesting things, and given that we're not like in the mountains or having any weird contours, don't know why they developed the airport this way, but they did. So we will head over here, and we will continue. So this is now Gulf 2. We're moving over to India. I always want to say Indigo. I don't use it that a lot, and this is going to get us across runway 22 left, which is our departure runway. So, and we're very close there. Not sure, I guess it is rendering the airport appropriately. That's just a very weird, I'm looking at this thing here. Yeah, I'm sure it's the main terminal or something, but although I don't know, that shows like maintenance north, so maybe it's some sort of maintenance thing or something outside the airport. I don't know. But yes, we're going down India, and then we're on Victor 2, and then we'll be on Victor to Victor 1, and Victor 1 will take us to the runway, and then in theory we should be at about 8 feet is what it says at that end of the runway. So we are very close to sea level here. But not a lot. It's rare that we're at these large airports, but this is what he chose to use this time. But yeah, the gentleman who created this, I'm assuming it's a gentleman, I apologize, it's probably not something I should be doing. The individual who created this says they're a World War II history buff. I'm a history buff in general. World War II history is as good as any other. So, to some degree, a lot of the things he wanted to include were things he wanted to see. So, you know, we have flown over things like that. He does seem to do a lot of sports stadiums, a lot of bridges. I've also tried to include enough information this time in Tour Tuner already that hopefully it'll make some of the comments that they already have in the narrative as part of it, and I won't have to prompt her to explain anything further. All right, so we are now coming up to take off, so we're going to switch our landing lights. Everything else is good. Again, our flaps are set. I'm not quite sure why our engine is down. I'm thinking we got some plane. Oh yeah, there's a big American right there. I'm like, I could hear a lot of jet noise when I went outside, so. All right, I noticed also we don't have our nav on, so we're gonna want to fix that, or that's gonna cause a bit of a problem. All right, and so we're gonna kind of slow down here. We're gonna get the vertical speed. I'm gonna get this set to say 700. We're gonna arm that, and should be good to go. And then we're gonna have to turn. Oh, I had trouble keeping this on the straight and narrow last time. This plane does do. Oh boy, that's fun. Well, ignore that. Always fun when things like that happen. And yes, we don't have wind or any of that, so. Alright, and there's a plane going the other way, so I'm glad we took off. Overall, the airport is confusing right now, but, and part of it is, I'm sure it's configured for the wind, but in theory, that's what should be happening. So in any event, we are going to go ahead now and put on autopilot. It should then go, and it should hopefully lock us into about 700 foot. You know, I probably want to dial this up to say 1,000. We're going to pull the flaps up, and we're going to get our TBM up because that will give us more power. Now I'm too high, so I want to back that off. I'm looking at my red line on my first gauge here. Alright, so we're about 800 feet. And we are now going, so let's talk to Sarah. Sarah, please load Tour ID 1103. Right, well, I think it's good. Yep, next stop is the right bridge. Sarah, how are you doing today? Well, we shall see, because usually it will give us information once we get close. It's a 7 nautical mile run, so we're getting up to 3,000. Just take a look. I'm guessing, yeah, it's this bridge here.
At our 4 o'clock, about 5 kilometers away, you'll see the magnificent Øresundsbron Bridge. This engineering marvel connects Sweden and Denmark, stretching nearly 8 kilometers across the Øresund Strait. It was opened in 2000 and is a combined railway and motorway bridge, making it a vital link between the two countries.
I see the railway down there.
The bridge was featured in the popular Scandinavian TV series Bridge, which added to its fame. It's not just a bridge, it's a symbol of unity between nations.
Okay, and we appear to have lost our position again. Sandra, please load tour 1103. Unfortunately, sometimes this happens. So I don't know if it's like it's not showing up in the interface. Sarah, please load tour 1103. Alright, it's giving me a destination, but it's not. So I'm hoping it's working, but it's not gonna give. So we'll know shortly, because it's gonna give us some information. If it doesn't, we'll have to manually kind of punt and look. So we're headed to here, and it doesn't look like it's gonna trigger, which is unfortunate. Okay, Sarah, can you tell us what we're flying over now?
We're currently flying over the Turning Torso Tower. This architectural marvel is the tallest building in Scandinavia, standing at 190 meters. Designed by Spanish architect Santiago Calatrava, the tower was completed in 2005 and is famous for its unique twisting design, inspired by a human body turning around its spine. It's not just a residential building, it's a symbol of modern architecture and innovation in Sweden. The tower's design is so iconic that it has become a must-see for architecture enthusiasts visiting Malmö.
What's our next point of interest, Sarah?
Our next point of interest is the Turning Torso Tower, which is about 6 kilometers away, heading 230 from our current position.
Okay. So I am gonna try, well, I don't know that I can reset it and get it to go to the right location. So I'm not sure why it unloaded. It was doing this before. Now it says ATC services paused while plane is not moving, which is interesting because obviously that's not the problem, but anyway. So we will go back and we will have to prompt her, but basically, let's go to the narrative here. So yeah, so we're going to be doing Denmark and Sweden. We have, I think Denmark is over. Now we're just in Sweden. We're passing over Lund. Here is this city. So I know it gets a little loud out of here, but of course it's a lot more beautiful to see what's going on if we give you some outside views, other than just out the window. I suppose we could talk about it here, but you can see we have about 38 nautical miles to go. So what they have here is head east and parallel the Øresundsbron Bridge across the straits to the town of Malmö in Sweden, and the Turning Torso Tower. So those are the first two waypoints. And now it's letting us know, enjoy the sights in southern Sweden as you make your way to the Church of the Holy Trinity at Kristianstad. Finished in 1628, when this area was still part of Denmark. So that is something I certainly did not know, but other than kind of the flagship points of European history, I'm not going to claim to be an expert in anything outside the United States, and even with that, I always learn more. That's part of why I love history. So there's always something fascinating, especially when you just try to learn about various things. Actually reading a book now called American Places, which is a compendium of different essays brought together to honor a editor, Sheldon Meyer, and so people have been writing various pieces. I think it's a little bit older book. I think it might be over 20 years old at this point, but it's something I've had on my shelf for a while. We're finally getting to it. But that is a big part of what the historians who have written those are talking about, because what they were asked to do is to include places where they had a personal connection to them and that they could basically include themselves in the history, which is, as many of them said, odd for a historian to do, because usually they are trying to stay out of it and not be part of the story, but they were asked specifically in this case to do so. It's interesting that I see now 22 left is not used. The wind has shifted some, so they've changed the runway in Copenhagen, so I'm wondering if that was partially why we had a plane coming at us and all of that. But either way, yes, it's not perfect, but we try to do what we can. We're going to have, it's 1004 when we get closer, but I'll try to keep that up, I suppose. But you can see we're at 27, and, you know, I just try to give you as much of a view as I can here. I'm just hoping everything works well. Just kind of looking to see if anything looks odd in all my other items that are operating. But, yeah, so the test didn't go well, because I will say, now part of it may be because the first waypoints were so close. It does advise that we include, you know, we kind of separate them more. So I may have to keep that in mind as when I get to a really close area, because again, when we get to the end in Bromma, I think there are 3 or 4 waypoints very, very nearby as well. And that obviously will potentially cause some issues, but at this point, the tour is not working. But what I didn't want to do is start putting a bunch of legs in to Tour Tuner if I need to have some things fixed up and so forth. So I'm going to ask the question of the folks, you know, is the unloading that happened, because initially this was the problem I was having with Tour Tuner, is it would load, it would get me to the first waypoint, and then it would unload. And they determined there were some problems in the background, but that has not been a problem for a bit. Again, I think we got legs 11, 12, and 13 done appropriately. But, yeah. So, hopefully it'll work, but I'll definitely get leg 15 in. And the goal is to do these more often. I'm not quite sure when this is going to get published out, but I would not be surprised. I'm somewhat looking at the fact of trying to get this put out on Sunday, right after the NASCAR leg, so that you get 2 flight items together. This is weirdly choppy. I don't know why. But you can see it almost looks like it's freezing. I think it's really just a low frame rate, which normally isn't a problem, but for some reason we are experiencing more of that. But, I will certainly ask Sarah to give us details about what is in the narrative that we saw, but at this point we're going to run this a little bit more the way we had, where I would really just read from the narrative, but we're going to have her augment that with additional comments. So it's not going to be quite as smooth as it has been lately because, again, she seems to have unloaded herself, and to my knowledge, there is no way to get back in, and so forth. So the problem was, I'm sure we crossed the geofences of the turning torso tower very quickly, and therefore it didn't know what to do. So I'm hoping that's it. So what I may do is then intentionally, if things aren't, say, 15 nautical miles apart at minimum, I may only include the main one, and then I may verbally ask her about the next one. So that may be a compromise that will work for this. But we are coming up, still have 11 miles. So again, I mean, the benefit is, you know, we've got an airspeed of 225 knots. We're not going slowly. And this is one of the shorter legs I've had in a while. They tend to be 400 to 600 nautical miles over the land, is what I've seen lately. And there's definitely a big variation. And of course, if we're crossing water or something, that will change. It looks like we may be doing that. So I just peeked out there. Yeah, because we are going to be turning to the east. And that is only 15 nautical miles away. But then I think we're going up the coast. So now that I think about it, it may not be what I was thinking, as I'm like, oh, we may have a leg going over the water. And that would obviously be less pleasant. But, yeah, definitely a lot of bouncing around. Because, yeah, I've got auto FPS, which I do run. You know what? But the auto target is not on, so I should do that. That will help, because then it will adjust things. I did have frames per second set that it was going to go. So, yeah, well, as soon as I set it, I'm like, that immediately smoothed things out. But it really didn't. It's still about the same frame rate, but I think what it will do is it will adjust some things. It's also counting down something called FPS settle, which I think was that it was just trying to figure out, all right, this is what I'm going to try to target, and it's sitting around 18 to 22 frames a second, which obviously is a little below really full frame rate and things that we'd like to see. But again, we're heading toward the church here. So we're going to have Sarah start talking. Sarah, please tell us about the Church of the Holy Trinity. There, maybe? It's usually going to be in front of us. She's taking a while, if she's working at all. This would be disappointing, because that would be unexpected. Sarah, please tell us about the Church of the Holy Trinity. I'm not sure that SayIntentions is working. Sarah, please tell us about the Church of the Holy Trinity. Now, did we see it clearly? I don't know that we did.
The Church of the Holy Trinity, located in Kristianstad, Sweden, is a stunning example of Renaissance architecture. Built between 1617 and 1628, it was commissioned by King Christian IV of Denmark. The church is known for its impressive facade and beautiful interior, featuring intricate woodwork and a grand organ.
Maybe there.
It's a popular site for visitors interested in history and architecture, offering a glimpse into the religious and cultural heritage of the region. The church's design reflects the influence of Italian Renaissance style, making it a unique landmark in Sweden.
Alright, so now a turn east takes you to the bridge at Sölvesborg, then on to the Frederick Church at Karlskrona, a Baroque-style church from the 18th century. So we've got about 10 miles. So, yeah, we are going to head It's interesting because it honestly looks like we're heading out over the water, but I think we're turning a little bit, so I think we are gonna go over. We're clearly going over some water with what I'm looking at, but I think then to get to the Frederick Church at Karlskrona, we'll get there, and then we're gonna take a much more significant turn to the north until we're going basically due north on our longest leg, which, if I recall, is 114 nautical miles of our trip. So that may be one where I just go silent and let you enjoy the scenery flowing by. But we shall see what everything lays out to be here. All right, so about halfway, about 6 miles. I'm guessing that's the bridge. So, and in this point, I did use, because there's a different way they're grabbing waypoints, where before I had to click on a map. Now I'm entering coordinates. The good news is the first coordinate did work. But, yeah, we'll have to see what we can do to improve things going forward. But yeah, in this case, there's a lot of waypoints right together. And I think that may happen more often than not. So it'll be intriguing how we might be able to do this. Alright, about 3 miles, so we're gonna, again, get outside the plane here. Whoops. It's always challenging for it to... Whoa. Alright. My goodness. It's so sensitive. I think the bridge is there. Sarah, tell us about the Sölvesborg Bridge. Yeah, right there.
Ah, the Sölvesborg Bridge. It's right in our vicinity, just 3 kilometers away at our 1 o'clock. This bridge is quite the spectacle with its modern design and is one of the longest pedestrian bridges in Europe.
Oh, that's a pedestrian bridge.
760 meters. Opened in 2013, it connects the town of Sölvesborg with the surrounding countryside, offering stunning views of the bay. It's a favorite spot for locals and tourists alike, especially during sunset, when the bridge lights up with a beautiful array of colors. If you're into photography, this is definitely a spot to capture some breathtaking shots.
Okay. So you can see we've got 32 nautical miles. Yeah, I've not had this challenge with frame rate, and I don't know if some of it is the fact, I mean, part of why I want to do this tour and why I enjoy the tour is it's going to take me to places of the world I'll honestly never get to. I mean, even if I had, you know, an unlimited amount of funds and so forth, just the time it would take to go do these things and so forth, like it would just be prohibitive. And I don't think I'd be around on the earth long enough to get through everywhere. And I think we're going to find some places less intriguing than others. I mean, just like anything else, I think certain things interest certain people, and, you know, there will be that portion of it. But yeah, I'm trying to think, like, if I look at what I have running, I'm just going to take a quick peek to make sure that hopefully, yes, you are getting telemetry, ground speed 240, you're seeing the bar. Just, again, be aware the bar is the kind of distance to the airport, and the distance to go is as if I went direct. And we're not going direct. This one's a little more direct than most, so it's probably going to be semi-reasonable, but again, it was 337 nautical miles, and I think we were like 270 or something, so we're adding about 50 nautical miles to everything we're doing. So, but yeah, definitely intriguing. Let's see if I pull out further, it might might be easier because it's not like having as much challenge rendering the plane. But my point was, obviously, there is a rolling cache involved in Flight Simulator, but if you don't fly over the same places, it doesn't help you. I mean, to some degree, I would think there's a little bit of understanding from the sim that there would be some intelligence of, all right, you're in this plane, you're flying here. I mean, if they were really clever, I suppose, they could use the flight plan I have loaded in my plane and say, all right, well, that's clearly where he's going. Let's try to download terrain before we get there. But the challenge is I'm using the map enhancement mod, which, you know, pulls from a different source than normal. And so I think we're limited to that, but it does increase the quality of what we see so much. So it's hard to fly, especially for a VFR position, without it. I also see that my add-on is not giving any kind of estimate to how far or how much time it will take. I'm not sure if it calculates that or where that pulls it from. But yeah, I know we're getting near the middle of this leg because that is where Navigraph puts the distance and heading on the line that it draws on the map. But yeah, the town of, what is it, Karlskrona is out on a piece of land that kind of sticks out, so I don't know if it's this one. Actually, no, I know it's not, because we're passing over some things, so it's further out, but we're really kind of hitting toward the end of it, so I'm not sure that we really see it yet, given that it's 16 miles away. But, you know, definitely, you know, a good flight here. And yeah, I think I definitely, once we go north, yeah, I'm gonna just let you guys observe. It's part of the VFR flight series, so just, again, giving you a little bit more background. I do record the entire leg. I do not, or, you know, that's my goal. Obviously, if I have technical difficulties or something happens, you know, we wouldn't be doing that. But that is the intent. You know what? Now that I think of this, let me see if I disable the preview in OBS. Not, you know, even though it's not on my screen, like, you know, it's still there. It's not the window I have in focus, but I didn't know if maybe that had something to do with it. I'm pulling up my frames per second calculator. No, it's still lowering it, so it's putting it down. Technically, we're at 17 now, which would be basically half a full motion video, so it would be a little choppy. And I don't know if it's because we have all these treed areas or such a mixture of terrain. I mean, clearly there's a lot going on. Again, the map enhancement tool is... Oh, I also don't have something called leave mode checked, which I normally do. Of course, that seems to have made it worse, because now now it's back up to 17. Well, it's going like between 13 and 17. So yeah, I'd have to look at what that does, but I realized that was... well, but now it's not like loading anything. Alright, yeah, I don't know. Because without it, not like now it's loading a bunch of tiles again, where it kind of wasn't before. Alright, we're down to 5 miles, so we head out. Basically, this is where the town is. So we're going to go ahead and have her give us some information. Sarah, tell us about the Frederick Church at Karlskrona.
Frederick Church, located in Karlskrona, is a stunning example of Baroque architecture. It was built in the late 17th century and completed in 1744, designed by architect Nicodemus Tessin the Younger. The church is named after King Frederick I of Sweden and is known for its impressive facade and grand interior. It's a popular site for visitors interested in history and architecture, offering a glimpse into the religious and cultural heritage of the region. The church's design reflects the influence of Italian Baroque style, making it a unique landmark in Sweden.
Alright, well, it's right there, I believe. So again, you know, you don't get a great view. Obviously, we're still high up in the air. Alright, so now... But yeah, this is like a little spit of land, and clearly you can see, you know, people have built out, and, you know, the city's expanded out here. But it goes inland a little bit, but then, you know, we're back over just a lot of forested area. So, about 40 nautical miles, so a similar type of leg, once again. So now we have from here, it's on to Öland Bridge at Kalmar that connects the mainland to the island of Öland. And then, yeah, we're going to be then heading towards Stockholm next. So if you're familiar with Sweden at all, that will be the situation. Interesting that it's feeling the need to turn a bit. Yeah, we're on the... Let's see. If I go back here and go to the map. Alright, and then we need to adjust the range out. I'm not sure. No, it's not that. That's the volume. No, that's that. I don't remember. I don't know. I don't use this that often, so... Oh, in and out. So, there we go. That's how we do it. That's 1 mile, 2, 3... So it's definitely zoomed in. Alright, so that'll give you a little bit better view. And, problem is we don't view that way, so... So yeah, hopefully things will work a little differently in the future. I mean, it's one of the less robust experiences we've had on this tour, so it is interesting. And it could honestly just be because there's just so much there. I don't know, maybe I do need to dial back the detail. But that's what auto FPS should be doing to some degree. And that's really part of the issue. No, good there. Oh, flight type, let's see. So I also had the flight type as IFR instead of VFR, so we'll see what that may do. I don't know that I've noticed that. Alright, so, because I would assume then it targets other settings. Like, for example, the clouds are set to ultra, but I'm not, you know, I'm not in the clouds, so Because, yeah, that did raise the frame rate from 17 to about 23 here. So it looks like that has helped. Now it's up to 26. You know, if we can get ourselves to 30, we'd be happy and clapping. But yeah, it's what it's trying to do is it's increasing the terrain level of detail. Because yeah, it's taken that from like 150 up to 210. Because that should also help with what we see with the landmarks and so forth. Frame rate is now dropped down to 20. So I think it's trying to figure out, you know, what would work best. But you can see those fans, I mean, they're not turning terribly choppy. So I don't know that it's really doing that bad of a job. But yeah, yeah, I don't know that I have a whole lot to share. Obviously, we're traveling over a lot of just forested area at this point in the south end of Sweden. I did look ahead enough. Normally, I don't look too far ahead because I want to stay somewhat surprised. But I was wondering, like, how they were going to do this, because obviously, as it stays north, we're missing a good part of Europe. You know, and it could have just kept going around, but no, he will take us down and we'll be, you know, going through Germany and Poland and things like that. So it does seem to kind of zigzag and crisscross across the terrain as it goes to really encompass a good part of the land that we're near, and, you know, making sure that we see as much as we can see. So I'm still thinking this flight may still be 2 to 3 hours. I mean, there are some episodes that have been like 4 or 5, I think, but some of those were just flying over the water as we went to Greenland, for example, from Canada, and then I think from Greenland to Iceland. Because yeah, I think Iceland was leg 9, where we were over Iceland and basically overflew all of the island and made, in essence, a W on it. So, yeah, definitely an interesting way that things are playing out for certain. Alright, so we're going to go out, and yes, the bridge is there. Because, yeah, we're going to pass this little spit of land. That's about as close as we get. We're kind of honestly flying over the end, and as it said, it's connecting it to the island of Öland. But if we look over here, this is all the same island. So this is not a small island, and it looks like it just has a road kind of not really going along the coast. It's inland, certainly. Probably 2 or 3 miles inland, you know, which might give it some elevation gain and all of that in case there is a difference in tidal levels. But yeah, definitely an interesting viewpoint there that we have. Whoops. Sorry. Trying to do something separate. Not related to this, just something I have to do in real life, and was a little bit distracted / confused. So that was the interesting part. Alright, so there's an airport. Whoops. The airport is kind of near on the outskirts of the city, so it's really kind of here somewhere, I think. But let's see. Sarah, please tell us about the Öland Bridge at Kalmar.
The Holland Bridge at Kalmar, officially known as the Öland Bridge, is a significant structure connecting the island of Öland to the Swedish mainland. It's one of the longest bridges in Europe, stretching approximately 6 kilometers.
Wow.
Opened in 1972, it was a major engineering feat at the time and remains an important transportation link today.
All right, well, that is good to know. So that is a long 6 kilometers. So you lose that perspective. Oh, there's the airport. So very clearly, that's our Kalmar Airport. That is Echo Sierra Mike Quebec, if you're ever looking to fly in there. Now there's something there interesting. Sarah, tell us about what looks like a castle or a fort here to our left.
To our left, you might be seeing the Kalmar Castle.
Right there.
A stunning fortress with a history dating back to the 12th century. It's known for its Renaissance architecture and played a crucial role in Swedish history, especially during the Kalmar Union. The castle has witnessed numerous battles and royal events, making it a treasure trove of stories and legends. It's a favorite among history buffs and those fascinated by medieval architecture.
All right, so at this point, we have nearly 120 miles of our 337 nautical mile range, and that will get us to waypoint 7 of 10. Then we'll have a bit of a lengthy flight, or a bit of a leg similar to what we've had, and then I think we hit things very quickly. So what we've got in the narrative, now head north along the coast to the capital of Stockholm. And then, it tells us waypoint 8, but we're heading to waypoint 7. So I am going to get this set. We're kind of going to give you the view where you can, again, see the distance and look out the window, but you'll have the bar at the top as well. But that will allow you, if you want to skip forward, the chapter headings will obviously be there. That's probably the easiest way to do it. But if you want to skip forward, you'll be able to do so. Interesting that it's turning a little bit more there, even though we're a good way away. But, you could click and then you could see, oh, I'm 10 miles away or whatever, so you'll know. So I should be back. Well, I will be back. I'm not going to have a choice, because otherwise you're going to be overflying waypoints and hear nothing about them, which kind of defeats the purpose. But I'm going to mute myself for a little bit, and I will see you as we get closer to waypoint 7, which maybe is nothing more than flying over Stockholm. But I would think these other points are in Stockholm as well. And Stockholm, I don't think, is as large, because I think we've got a good 40 or 50 nautical miles for the next leg. So it's kind of interesting. Well, let's see where we're at waypoint 7. So I'll see you in a bit. Alright, we are getting close here. So, yeah, it's not... not Stockholm here, but it's just basically getting us to Stockholm. But we've got Karsebo. Sarah, can you tell us about Karsebo that we are approaching? So it's just right across the water there.
Karsebo is a small locality in Sweden, known for its serene landscapes and rural charm. It's a place where you can enjoy the peaceful countryside and perhaps spot some traditional Swedish farmhouses, perfect for those who appreciate nature and tranquility.
Alright, so then we're going to go to Waypoint 8. Waypoint 8 will take us to Drottningholm Palace, home of the Swedish royal family. And then it's on to Avicii Arena, aka the Ericsson Globe. The arena is just about 2 miles south of Kvarteret Morpheus, an island holding the Nobel Museum and the offices of the Nobel Prize Committee, which we will cross on our way to the Royal Swedish Opera House, where the prizes for physics, chemistry, physiology, or medicine and literature are awarded each year. And then our landing will be at Bromma Airport on the northwest side of the city. So we have 56 more miles to go. So it's going to be a little bit of time. Again, we're just out here in the Swedish countryside. Thinking about 20 miles, we're going to be overflying the airport. So we'll join up then, and then we'll probably just talk our way through all the way to the end. So I'm going to mute myself again. Enjoy the view. Alright, so here we're passing Stockholm Airport, or coming up on it, which is Echo Sierra Kilo November. So it's a bit of a, two runways. I don't know that this would seem to be pretty small of an airport, for the capital city of Sweden, so I don't know. And so it's out there, but it's like Stockholm Skavsta. So we do have a little bit longer to go there. Looks like, we're still at over 40 kilometers, so we came, or 40 miles, so we came up on that faster than I thought. I'm going to quiet down again, but before I do, I'm going to go ahead and ask if you're enjoying this series or just enjoy the channel in general, which I hope you do. Please consider liking and subscribing. Those things are greatly appreciated and vastly important. Alright, so here we come upon Stockholm, or the outskirts of it. This is Södertälje, I think. Sarah, can you tell us which town we're approaching? Maybe she can't. Alright, so again, as a reminder, Drottningholm Palace, home to the Swedish royal family, is our first waypoint. But yeah, we're hitting things really quick. So we're going to see that. We're going to see an arena, the Ericsson Globe. Then we're going to go to Kvartet Morpheus, which is an island holding the Nobel Museum, and obviously the Nobel Prize Committee. And then I think we're heading to the airport. We're basically kind of circling around a couple smaller areas, but this is the greater Stockholm area here. Now, I'm seeing, because yeah, I think the airport we're landing at, just one little runway, so I don't know that we're getting anything too interesting. And once we turn, we're going to be about 4 miles away, and at 3,000 feet, you know, maybe what I'll do is go down a little bit lower. So we're going to change this, and we're going to go down, say, 600. So that'll give us a little bit, because we're about 7 miles away, so that should get us there. Again, let me just double check. Yeah, QNH is 1004. So that means we're gonna theoretically be lower than we would think. So that was good that we did that, because otherwise, yeah, the barometric pressure would have had us up a bit too high. So, but yeah, we're technically not in Stockholm proper. The palace is out on an island here, so it's on, I think, that island. So we'll see what we see. I'm trying to kind of turn a little bit again. But now the other thing we're gonna do is we are gonna decrease this. That'll slow us down too. Because that should get things a little bit slower. But I believe the palace grounds are what we're seeing here. So they're kind of out in the middle of nothing, which is really interesting. But yeah, those are certainly palace gardens. And, you know, a bit of the palace there. Now we're going to the arena, and then we'll turn quickly. It'll probably be a really fast turn. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to slow down. I'm going to give this a bit of some flaps so that we have a bit of lift, but we can go slower. And then, so I don't know if it's that thing there is the Ericsson Globe or not, but we're probably going to turn. Sarah, can you tell us about the Drottningholm Palace?
You must mean Drottningholm Palace. It's located just 4 kilometers away at our 11 o'clock. This stunning palace is the private residence of the Swedish royal family and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Built in the late 16th century, it's known for its beautiful gardens and Baroque architecture. It's a favorite spot for history buffs and those interested in royal heritage.
Sarah, tell us about the Avicii Arena.
The Avicii Arena, formerly known as Ericsson Globe, is a prominent landmark in Stockholm. It's the largest hemispherical building in the world and hosts various events, including concerts and
Assume
sports.
it's that.
Named after the late Swedish DJ Avicii, it stands as a tribute to his musical legacy. The arena's unique design makes it a distinct feature of the Stockholm skyline.
Sarah, tell us about the Nobel Museum and the offices of the Nobel Prize Committee. Alright, so we're there.
The Nobel Museum, located in Stockholm's Old Town, is dedicated to the Nobel Prize and its laureates. It showcases the history and achievements
Now I'm
of the
guessing
prize
it's
winners,
this.
offering insights into their groundbreaking work.
Wow,
The
just
offices
very
of
jerky.
the Nobel Prize Committee are nearby, where the prestigious awards are decided. It's a fascinating place for those interested in science, literature, and peace efforts.
Alright, so we are gonna head in because, as we can see, we are needing to descend. So I am gonna drop down, and I need to put my landing thing on, which I should have done. So we'll see what we can do here. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we're gonna see if we can bring this bird home. But yeah, we are a long way up. I'm not sure that we're gonna be able to make this happen. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Alright, I'm going 95 knots. Alright, it's also challenging. Alright. No, we're still 1,200 feet up. Alright, why is the... There we go. Like, why is the thing up on top staying on? Alright, so that is the benefit of a littler plane. We can slow down. We've still got time. You know, we can come in at 90 knots. So just making sure. I actually feel way better here.
500.
I want to make sure I have enough lift, because the last thing I want to do is fall out of the sky. And again, with clear skies, it really shouldn't be that challenging. So I'm thinking this is all just frame rate induced garbage. So hopefully it won't continue to be this way on subsequent legs. Yeah, get ourselves in. 100 feet. $13. Come on. I forgot to lower my landing gear. That would be a problem. So hopefully that won't cause too much difficulty. Probably will. I tried to raise it, but I don't think I can do that at this point. Oops! Well, we're going to probably need to get the plane repaired a little bit. Let's make sure we turn off this, whoops. We'll turn off the engine. That'll help. Well, that was embarrassing. I was so worried about landing and flaps and slowing down. So it probably was howling at me at some point. But I don't know. But a little sloppy. As long as we don't have a... Yeah, it looks like it was nice and it didn't give us a bent propeller. So, yeah. Not the best overall, but hopefully you enjoyed the sights, enjoyed flying through Sweden. It's tough to kind of pull these back together, and some of it is showing you the reality of, hey, not a professional flight simmer or whatever. Now, this would have been a disaster if we landed this way in real life, but that's why we get to do it in flight sim. So I will strive to do better in leg 15, and I will see you next time.